All right, so making another video. This is something that I've kind of come across recently a fair bit, but it's learning how to free yourself from worrying about judgment, right? Because I've come across a lot of people, and I've been through it myself. As you can see, I'm not your average looking person. I have stretched ears. I've got tattoos all over my body and all over my throat and neck and everything. I've got dreadlocks, piercings. Like, I'm a very abnormal person, and I know that personally, like growing up, I had a lot of like resistance to doing so. There are a lot of people, including my parents' family, all that kind of stuff, questioning what I was doing, and getting told off for expressing my own creativity and my own impulses and all this kind of stuff. And I know that a lot of people deal with this. Sorry. And the thing is that, like, I've always felt that, like, blocking your own creative impulses is what will lead you to feeling not necessarily depressed, but maybe a bit more hollow. I know that, personally, I've tried to fit in a lot. Like a number of years ago, I went through, I guess, like a phase of trying to discover myself, or like who I truly was, because, as I've said, like, quite a few times, a number of years ago, I used to be like borderline anorexic. I was like 53 kilos at 6'2", and at the time, I had like really long hair. I had all my piercings and everything, but I was really, really skinny, really insecure, and didn't have a lot of self-love. I was very, like, creatively drained, and just, I wasn't really who I was. But it was always like quite a case of, being kind of afraid to express myself the way that I needed to. But I had a bit of let's call it a rebirthing phase, where I knew that I wasn't I knew that I wasn't secure as a person. I knew I wasn't confident as a person. And so all of my confidence was really coming from these artificial things. Like, it was coming from piercings and having long hair and the way that I dressed. So I took it upon myself to shave my head, take out all my piercings, and force myself to go back to just like a natural state. And when I did that, man, like, I was shocked. I was hideous. Like, I was like absolutely mortified at how unattractive I was as a person, not having all these crutches that I was relying on. But I knew that by doing this, that would force me to work on myself. I knew that, it would take me 2 to 3 years to grow my hair out, or I could start hitting the gym and doing martial arts and eating better and taking proper care of myself. Like, that would be the way that I would gain more attractiveness the fastest. And through this phase, I think it's important to do this kind of stuff. Like, I started living on my own, and I really just went inward and started questioning everything about my life, all the things that I believed, all the things that I'd been taught from my parents, or from school, or from the media, or from friends, from anyone, any things that I'd read from, even like religious books, all that kind of stuff. Like, I started questioning literally everything. And, during this phase, I tried being like a super masculine dude. I started, cutting my hair in a certain way. I started dressing in clothes from like Culture Kings and all the, like Kiss Chasey and all the shit that, like, all the other guys that were partying on the weekends were doing. And I gained a lot of weight. I started going to the gym. I started doing a lot more like masculine activities. I started hanging out with people who were like drinking and like doing coke and, just like trying to like chat up girls and doing all this stuff. But it never felt right to me, despite what I was doing. Like, I felt like I was living someone else's life, and I'd talk to people, and I'd talk to them about who I am and get into stuff, and I'd be like, I used to have long as fuck hair, man, and piercings and all this kind of shit. And it got to the point where I realized that I was talking about this more and more and more, and it quickly became I guess like a point of reference for me in a lot of things, where I figured that, like, if I kept talking about the things that I did, say, like, talk about how I play in a band, or talk about a place I used to live, or talk about, how I used to look, what I want to do for work, all these kinds of things, I realize that the more I start talking about these things that like excite me, that's the direction I should go in. And so, I kind of went through this, like, I guess like a natural beauty phase of trying to be just like a typical dude, but I realized that just simply wasn't what I was. The person who I really am is this dude with long hair, who has dreadlocks and tattoos and piercings and plays in a metal band and, doesn't take party drugs and likes to meditate and do his own thing. Like, that's who I am. And the more that I followed my impulses toward just my intuitional guide toward who I feel like and who I recognize in the mirror, the more confident I became, the more I was able to express myself the way I needed to, the more people gravitated toward me, the more people liked me. And, it became a thing where I realized that, all the things that you learn in your life, all the things that you believe, all the things that you go and do, all of the things that, you've been taught, the things that you've been taught have been taught to you by people who quite literally don't have authority over you. Like, we all come from the same source. We all, get birthed into this life. We all go through the certain different societal structures, or, wherever you live in the world, and you learn from other people. But when you begin to understand that, not everyone else actually has figured this out, and that you can figure things out for yourself, that's when you begin to develop this power within yourself. And obviously, it's easy to grow up and, you learn from your parents. But one of the most powerful things I ever learned is that my parents did not have everything figured out. And the moment I realized that they didn't have everything figured out, I realized that I was actually capable of, essentially becoming my own parental figure. I thought about the ways that I would like my children to be brought up, all of the things that perhaps I didn't have in a childhood, or the things that I lacked, or the things that I felt like my parents had failed in teaching me, and then I implemented that into myself. So I started saying, okay, what kind of parent do I want to be? What kind of kids do I want to raise? What kind of lessons and, character traits do I want to develop for myself that I can share with other people, or at least inspire other people by expressing? So basically, what my main point of this is go and just trust yourself. Trust who you are, trust your own being, trust your own impulses, and do whatever the fuck you want to do. If it makes you happy, and I'm talking about, in a creative sense, getting getting shit-faced on the weekends isn't something that I'd recommend. That's not something that I can consider to be happiness. Talking about those fulfilling things, go and create art. Don't go and socialize. Do the thing that you want to do. Go camp on your own. Go do the things that, other people might judge you for. Because at the end of the day, the people who are judging you have either the same or less of a clue about life than you do. If they are judging you for how you act or how you look or the things that you like to do, chances are you're just confronting them with their own inability to express themselves, because most people are insecure. Most people have grown up in a very an age of indoctrination where they're taught to live inside the boundaries, to follow the rules, to, get up, watch the news, go to work for someone, get life insurance, retire at the age of 55 and live on a pension. Fuck that, dude. That's not how we're meant to live. The moment you stop working, or at least working towards something that you're passionate about, that's when you die. We're meant to enjoy this life. We're all here to create. We're all here to experience the human condition to its fullest capacities. And again, to aid in the expansion of consciousness. We're all here to have fun. Life is meant to be fun. You're meant to be going out and doing the things that you love. And when you're not doing the things that you love, that's when you start feeling depressed. When you start doing the things that you love, you feel excited, you feel enthusiastic, you feel inspired. You can achieve that at all times. It is possible. That's what I'm working toward at all times, and that's what I'm trying to share with everyone. That's the whole point of the channel that I've created, or the resources I'm creating, because I've gone out of my way to explore these things, explore intuition, explore soul nourishing activities, exploring, what's the word for it? Forgotten the word for it. Fulfillment. That's the word I was after. But, search for the things that you feel fulfilled by. Search for the things that make you excited. If you're looking back on things that you used to do when you were younger and you're like, man, that was so cool when I did that, go back and do it. This whole concept that, we get old and we die, or our body starts breaking down at the age of 30 or 40, like, it's complete bullshit. I used to go to this gym back in the day when I was like 15, 16 years old. And I always ended going to the gym with hopping into the sauna and the spa and everything. And there was this old Chinese bloke who was always there, and he was he'd do 50 laps of breaststroke in the pool every single time I was there. And he looked like he was, in his 70s. He was old, man, and he took care of himself. And this one time I was chilling in the spa and he hopped in. I just sparked up a conversation with him, because, the Chinese have very good, I don't know if it's a part of their spiritual practice, but they're very holistic in the way that they take care of themselves. Natural herbs, natural medicines. You see them walking along, swinging their arms and doing all this weird shit, but it's really good for mobility and, the flow of the body. And so I was just intrigued and got into this conversation with him, mate, you're looking good for your age. You're doing heaps of laps, and I was like, oh, and he goes, how old do you think I am? And I told him, I thought he was about, in his 70s. The dude was 98 years old. 98, doing 50 laps of breaststroke in the pool every night. This whole concept that we grow old and we die and we our bodies just begin to fail. It's complete bullshit, man. If you take care of yourself, if you eat well, if you implement meditative practices toward the body's health and implement esoteric healing abilities, which just message me and I'll teach you how to do it. There are meditations that can teach you these things, and I'm in the process of creating one at the moment, which I'll make available as soon as I can. But you don't have to get old. You don't have to have your body decay. Of course, at the age of 80, obviously there's a natural process of the body, slowing down and essentially preparing itself for the next expansion of consciousness, which is the death of the ego and, the expansion of the soul into the non-physical. That's what our death is. But you don't have to fear death. Death is a very exciting thing. I can't wait for it. But in saying that, I want to earn my death. That's my whole plan. I think that, death being the ultimate expansion of consciousness into, the multidimensional realities, going back to source, going back to the entity, reflecting on the life that you lived, choosing to reincarnate at certain different times or, focus your consciousness elsewhere. That is such an exciting concept. And you'd be an absolute fool to both fear that and not live your life to the fullest extent, so that when you reach that point, you have the ultimate amount of information to go forward in the learning process, in the expansion of consciousness, or aiding in doing so. So, as I said, don't let other people judge you. Don't worry about what other people think. If you want to do something and it makes you feel fulfilled and it makes you feel more like yourself, go and do it. If people judge you for that, or if they treat you negatively for that, stop hanging out with them. Get rid of them, because the more you learn to love yourself, the more you do these things that make you fall in love with yourself, the more opportunities come along, the more fulfillment you have, the more excitement you have, and you'll enjoy your life so much more, to the point where being around people who don't share the beliefs with you, or they treat you poorly, you're not going to care anymore, because you're going to be in a place where you're already in love with your life. You're already having fun. And unless someone's going to contribute to that fun and that enjoyment, or at least your learning, or, your purpose in this life, it doesn't matter. They're not worth keeping around. And as I said, the more you take care of yourself, the more you chase fulfillment, the more you do these soul nourishing activities and level yourself up, you will find other people who are doing the same thing, and they will gravitate towards you, because you both know that you've been through the phase of losing friends, or, you know, sticking up for yourself and having a backbone. And there's a level of trust and a bond that you connect with these people that you won't be able to connect with the people who are judgmental, who are insecure, who still believe in all of the indoctrination that they've been taught throughout their lives. You'll find free thinking people who will help you elevate yourself, and you'll find yourself in a place of abundance. You find yourself in a place of, you know, so much will be given to you, and you'll feel so glad to be able to give to others for no cost, because you realize that, you know, money's just energy, and these things will all come to you because if you influence people in a healthy way, which you will do by, you know, taking care of yourself and loving yourself and projecting that love onto others, everything just comes to you in time. It will just manifest and you'll enter this beautiful place of abundance. So, as I said, listen to yourself, listen to the things that you want to do, get creative, do the things that make you feel fulfilled, chase the person that you recognize in the mirror, and everything will begin to fall into place. You just need to start trusting yourself. Put the trust in yourself. Start studying, start meditating, start reading spiritual, new age, religious, whatever books that you feel will teach you the lessons that you need to learn at this point in time. Go and do it. Go into solitude. Like, stop going on dates with people. Stop socializing and partying. Like, really, really knuckle down and start like exercising, doing yoga, eating well, you know, getting sunlight, getting to bed early, reading, like creating art. Do all these things and everything will just start falling into place. I promise it will, because I've done it myself, and I'm in such an amazing place in my life where everything is just falling into place for me, just like I don't even have to try. It's incredible, and I promise it will happen for you. So that's the one for this one. Start trusting yourself over other people, follow your intuition, seek fulfillment, do soul nourishing activities, and everything that you want will come to you, I promise. All right. Yeah, follow the links that are below. There's more. I've got some podcast episodes coming up with some really cool guests. Yeah, that's all. Thanks for watching. Peace.